Hi guys, welcome back to Akaik and welcome back to Python programming. I remember my humble self, Cyber Jollof, and in this lesson we'll be dealing with the values and variables of Python, and we've successfully installed our Python. Basically, when you open your Python IDE shell, this is the first screen you are going to see, which is this is basically called, some people they call it Python IDE shell. Why another way it's called the terminal. Whichever way, you're still on the right track. So you can simply call it the terminal or the shell. And for you to create a new file, basically the work of this terminal or the shell is for us to get an output of whichever code we put in. And for you to write a very perfect, very clean code, just have to go to click on your file and then create a new file. You can use Ctrl N, and then here you can start writing your. But before we go, we starting writing our code. So today, I said we'll be dealing with values and variables. Basically, values is our datas and our datas, which can be either a string. Let me write it here so that you can see. So values are data which can be strings, integer, or a float. These meaning of values. Why a variables is just more of like a containers that helps us to hold these either a strings or an integer or a float. It's just a container that helps us to store our data. You know, if you have a cooler now, you can store your food inside. So that's basically what the values is doing. The variables is doing. Variable is just to keep our values inside a particular place. So we have so let's go back to our Python terminal, and in our Python terminal just type 2 and you see that it prints out 2. Then let me type A, and you can see the A name is not defined. Why? Because I did not indicate that because it is just a simple letter and Python does not understand it. You have to define it before. So that is basically the work of the value. So when you do something like this, you can see now that I get A as a strings. Yeah. So basically the strings is just like the string data type. You know, I call it data type. The strings data type is basically, it can be a number, it can be a letter, or it can be a symbol, and it can be a combination of both. Why integer or a float can never be a letter, it's just only a numbers. So I hope you get that now. So a strings can either be a letters, a number, or a symbol, combination of all. Why an integer or a float can just only be a number. So that is why when I type A, I got a syntax error that this is not. Okay, let's go on with what is so there is one command that we normally use, which is the print command, that allows us to print out whichever code written so far. Let me say I said A now. You can see I'll get an error because A is not defined. So for me to print out A successfully, I can just say print and then I pass it in a quotation and I print it out. So this is basically print A. This is basically an A in a string format. And if you are naming a strings must be in a quotation, either a single quotation or a double quotation, and you must close the quotation at the end. That's That's the normal way of indicating a strings in Python. If you didn't put a strings in a quotation, the Python ideally shell will just tell you that, hey, what is happening here? This is an error. You just throw an error. It will trigger an error that, oh, this particular stuff, I don't understand it. But once you put it in a string, in a quotation, either a double quotation and a single quotation, Python easily understand it. And more so, if you are trying to if you started a string with a double quotation, make sure you end it with a double quotation also, like this. Sorry. Make sure you end it. Let's see what happens if you end it with just a normal simple quotation. You can see there will be an error because you must end it with, if you started with a single quotation, you must end it with a double quotation. So now let's go back to what variable is in Python. Variable is just like a container, like I told you earlier. Variable is just a container that helps us to store our values or to hold our data type, which can be a strings, an integer, or a float. So let's say I said print welcome to archaic community. You can see I got a printout because it is indicated that this is a string. It is indicated that this is a string. So okay, let's say for example a variable, you are naming a variable a name. Let me go back now. It is time to go back to file. Let me name a variable. Let me say name equals to, then this, let me comment this out. So what I did here right now is called comment in Python. What comment does is it will not print it out. It will not print it out while you are running your code. It will ignore it. And comment is very, very essential if you are writing a code. So it allows other developers that are accessing your code to understand what you've written so far. So let me like name equals to, okay, forget, name equals to cyberjollof, and then okay, then I want to print it out. And I said print name, then I'll click on on. It asks me to save. Let me just save my document file. Save the file as variable. You can see now it gets my name printed for me. So that is basically the work of a variable. You can see that I said name is supposed to. I can even modify my print statement to be something like this. Something like this. Here, name. Have a invalid syntax because there is no comma here. So basically what this is doing is I've already created a name variable and I also said okay, print dear name. Don't forget at each and every this, because this is a segment on its own. This is a segment, that's why I put comma, because they are not together. So that's why I had to put this comma here, so the Python will understand okay, this is different segment. You can see the other time I did not put the comma here, it's trigger an error. So let me run this. You can see dear Cyber Jollof, and in my print statement Cyber Jollof is not included, just the name. But you can see now that the name has already hold the variables, the values of Cyber Jollof, and it's get it printed. That's basically what the values and variables. So we have rules in naming a variable. There are many rules in naming a variables. Number one, is a variable must not start. A variable must not start with a number. Second, a variable not a variable must not have a space. Third, a variable must start with a number or an underscore. So there are so many rules in naming a variable. You can cobble that out, but these are the three basic things a variable must involve. What I did here is, we have in Python, this I said this is a comment in Python, which is this hash, and also what I did here also is a comment in Python. So we have two particular comments in Python. We have a single line comment and we have a multiple line comment. So this is just a single line comment and this is a multiple line comment, and if you are running it, it's Python ideally will ignore this. It will ignore it because I've already commented them out. So a variable must not start with a number. Yeah, it is very, very impossible for a variable to start with a number. It is very, very impossible for a variable to have a space. So instead of having a space, let's say for example I want to create a variable that has first name. This is invalid. Instead of me to have a space, I can just put an underscore. That's why they say a variable must start with a letter. Letter or an underscore. So it must start with a letter and underscore. And Python is a very case sensitive. We create a variable first name to be Cyber, and then last name, and then okay, a variable in Python is a very case sensitive programming language. This variable that I created here first name is different from this. It's the same first name, but they are different because here it is small letters or true, or here we have a uppercase, here it is all lowercase or true, but here we have a simple lowercase, so it is very case sensitive. So make sure you are very, very extra vigilant while you are naming your variable. So last name, okay, last name, alright, so first name Cyber, then I said print. So in your print statement, I can just say print first, then last. If I run it F5, so you can see cyber jollof that I just did here. So another thing we are going to learn in naming a variable, we can have an input function. This one is just a static variable, it's just a constant variable in which the user can't be able to modify it. But along the line, you want the user of that particular application or a system you want the user to input it. You won't be there. Like, okay, for example, I want to ask you what is your first name, what is your last name, and to do that in Python is very easy. Since you know your values and all the data type you'll be needing, which can be a string, integer, a float, and Python already has an input function for that. If you are having an input value, let's say for example, I want to collect user information like the first name and the last name for user itself, I can simply say input. You can see that this has already changed color. It's different from this red green that I've been using the same color with this print, which shows that this is an input value. So input, then I've just said enter your name. So same thing applies there also. Input, enter your name. And now this is just basically of collecting user inputs in a string format. But how about if we want to collect the user input in an integer format or a float data type? It's very easy. We already know, okay, what can we put? Age is just put input through your open brackets, then int is for integer, while float is for float. Basically, an integer is just a natural number without any decimal or any other thing. These are integers in Python. While float is just more of like having a decimal point in it. So age can't have a decimal point. I'll just put it int like that. Enter your age, and don't forget the amount of brackets you are opening at the left hand side. Make sure you are closing it back at the right hand side. Then I want to print first name, comma, last name, comma, age, close it. You can see it asking me for me to enter my name. I said, okay, my name is Cyber. Enter your name again. So Cyber. Oh, I have an error here. Okay, let's check. Invalidation for int. Okay. Instead, our ints should be at the front side. Then input should be at the back side. So let me modify this also. Should be first name, last name. Then let me run it again. Enter your first name, Cyber. So you can see now age. I have 1000. You can see now that it means cyber jollof, cyber, which is my first name that I input, jollof, which is my second name, my last name that I input, and then age, which is 1000. You can see now that it's very easy for you to declare a variable in Python, and you can see now that this is more of like a container. First name is holding the value of cyber, the last name is holding the value of jollof, and age is holding the value of 1000. So that is it for value and variable. See you guys.